Breaking tonight, the Trump campaign is engaging in a new round of damage control on the issue of immigration, after reports suggest the candidate may be backtracking on his plans to build a wall on the southern border. This is obviously a critical issue for Trump supporters.
I will build a great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words.
Build that wall. We're going to build that wall. Don't worry about it. We're going to build that wall. We're going to build the wall. And who's going to pay for that wall? Who? They think we're kidding too, don't they, folks? Huh? We're not kidding. We're not kidding.
Well, with Trump's much-awaited speech on immigration scheduled to happen just 48 hours from right now, we're now hearing new questions about whether that wall he has so proudly promised is actually going to be a real wall. First, Trump supporter and former Texas Governor Rick Perry was suggesting last month that it's a, quote, technological and, quote, digital wall. And today, Trump confidant Rudy Giuliani was suggesting it may be a little bit of both.
He's going to build a wall. It's going to be a technological as well as a physical wall, meaning
we hear 35 feet high with wall technology. That
and with technology that can detect people 5-6 miles away.
Chief political correspondent Carl Cameron is live for us tonight in San Francisco. Carl?
Hi, Megyn. And it is the case that Donald Trump has said that much of what he enunciates on the campaign trail could ultimately be viewed as a bargaining position because he's going to make deals and get things done. And in fact, he himself has said that the wall in some places wouldn't be practical because there's topography problems, lots of mountains that make it difficult to build a wall, and that technology would be much more better suited to work in those situations. And those are the sorts of asides that he has offered in the past in his unscripted, unteleprompted remarks about immigration reform. The Wednesday speech now has that added to the list of questions because over the course of the last 2.5 to 3 weeks, Donald Trump has been particularly cautious in his rhetoric and put an awful lot of pressure on his surrogates to explain exactly what's going to happen on the other two sort of foundational points of his immigration policy. One, he's already revised his proposal for a ban on new Muslim visitors or immigrants to the U.S. On a temporary basis. That's now turned into extreme vetting. And then comes the question of what to do about the undocumented immigrants who are in this country, the illegal immigrants that he's promised to deport with a deportation force. And on that, the question is still open, and many of his advisors have suggested that that softened rhetoric that he talked about Sean Hannity with could make it possible for some illegal immigrants to stay in this country, albeit not with a legalization. For that, they'd have to go home. All of these are questions that we presume will be answered on Wednesday when he'll go to Phoenix for a teleprompter speech to deal with what are questions that may court independent swing voters. At the same time, they alienate the very Republican base that came to love him in the early part of this when he made this type of tough immigration reform really the signature of his campaign. Megyn?
Carl, thank you. Joining me now, former GOP presidential candidate, Governor Mike Huckabee. Governor, good to see you. So what is the point of surrogates coming out and talking about, you know, why not just stick with he's going to build a wall? Why is anybody injecting, well, it's going to be a technological wall here, it's going to be a virtual wall there?
Well, the only thing I can say is, Megyn, sometimes surrogates go out and they forget that they're not the candidate, and they may make a statement, but it's not authorized by the campaign or the candidate.
But this surrogate is the former governor of Texas. He knows better than most.
Rick Perry used to talk a lot about the fact that a good bit of the wall on the Texas side of the border would be, in fact, electronic. If you've been to the border, and I think you have, and I've been to the San Diego border and to the Texas border, there are some places where a physical wall fence is very, very significant. The best one that we have is the one around San Diego. It's the one that stopped illegal immigration by 90% since it was built. It's been tremendous. It's not only physical, it is also electronic. So it's not an either or, it's a both
so
and.
It's like implied.
When people say that,
so what is the need to sort of come out and tweak the issue, just as Trump is getting poked himself for softening the issue of what we're going to do with the 11 million illegal immigrants? Is this all about outreach to so-called moderates or people who aren't already on the Trump train?
Yeah, I don't think the surrogates are serving Donald Trump very well if they try to undermine his basic message, which is the wall. But the bigger picture here, and I think a lot of people are losing sight of this, is that there is a real clear choice in the issue of immigration. Donald Trump is going to build a wall. Donald Trump is going to end sanctuary cities. Donald Trump is going to make sure that we have a clear direction about who's coming into this country. Hillary Clinton is for sanctuary cities. She's for open borders. She's going to be the Angela Merkel of the United States. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that if you want open borders and sanctuary cities, you go with Hillary. If you want strong borders and if you want someone to actually enforce our laws, you want Donald Trump. That's what it's going to come down to. And what the surrogates say, it's not going to make that much difference.
Governor, great to see you. With all due respect to yourself as a surrogate.
Thanks a bunch.
Also with us on this tonight, Ben Domenech, publisher of The Federalist. Ben, good to see you. So, I don't know. You tell me whether this is just a coincidence or whether this is a message that was intentionally put out there to would-be Trump voters who are like, he's too hardline.
You know, I'm really not sure that there was a lot of thought put into this from the perspective of the sloganeering, but this is an example of slogans running smack into a brick wall of their own, in the sense that the slogan of building the wall sounds very nice, but if you've been along the border, as I have with Texas Senator John Cornyn back in the day, you know that the topography there actually is challenging when it comes to building a wall. In fact, much of the issue is the fact that about half the border, which is made up of the Rio Grande in Texas, would be a situation where if you built a wall there that was as high and as significant as the one that Trump has described,
30
it
feet.
would cut off Texas landowners to the access to the water there. And that's something that I think really would prevent it.
And that's what Rick Perry was saying. He said there's some
Exactly.
that hear this is going to be 1,200 miles from Brownsville to El Paso, 30 foot high. And listen, I know you can't do that. But the question is whether we are seeing an overall softening, whether it's, you know, in combination. If this were just sort of a one-off, you say, okay, it's a clarification of what exactly the wall is. But it comes on the heels of Trump saying to Hannity last week, there's going to be a softening. And then he kind of tried to dial it back, but he was already well out on that limb about, hey, okay, now we're going to secure the border first, and then only after that's secure are we going to talk about the 11 million, which sounds really familiar. I've heard that elsewhere.
I have as well. The thing to keep in mind, Megan, is why people want a wall in the first place. You can tell whether a wall is there or not. It's not a group of bureaucrats in Washington saying the border's secure. It's either there or it isn't. That's why voters have supported it, and that's the reason that he became the Republican nominee.
But on the 11 million, I mean, that position of we secure the border first and then we talk about the 11 million is basically what every single candidate running for president had on the Republican side, is it not?
It really is, and it's one of the reasons why I think that you see the kind of muddying now, the confusion among some of Trump's supporters who are basically saying to themselves, was he just trying to pull another con job on us? Is this a situation where we can trust him on this issue, one that has been a signature of his to this point?
All right, we're going to hear more about it from the candidate himself on Wednesday, who will clarify his positions on all of this. We'll look forward to that. Ben, great to see you.
Good to be with you.
So there's new controversy erupting over race in America, involving both Beyonce and the message she brought to the awards that we just saw, and Colin Kaepernick, the star quarterback, who is now refusing to stand for the national anthem, arguing that the American flag represents oppression. Pete Hegseth and Eric Guster weigh in next.